Hey guys, Tbull here. Today I'm going to be checking out the Giulio Cesare, better known as the Giulio. Littorio is in the pilot seat here with the accuracy commander. Of course, we're going to be holding out hope that they do the right thing and introduce an accuracy commander for free. What historical commander of some sort. Once the full line drops in a couple weeks here. So we'll see what happens there. But keeping one of the two main universally available builds behind a paywall, of course, is not cool. So hopefully that's not going to be the case long term here. Fault line, capture the base mode. My favorite game to analyze here. Extremely exploitable. If you know how this game mode works, we have a 6v3 right now on the eastern side of the map, and there's a 3v3 on the western side of the map with the center spawn south, usually going to the west. Now they're actually going to play the lake area, the middle, so they counter the 6v3 immediately, and they make it a fair fight. So that means this game is actually going to be somewhat interesting, at least. Usually, this side, if they press with any aplomb whatsoever, then they just slaughter the south spawn and then go right in the base and win easily. So, Fault Line can be a lot of fun to play when the south center doesn't go all the way to the west. Why that's a problem is it takes them to get to the west 2, 3, 4 minutes, okay? And in the meantime, the game should be over, assuming people are moving around at all. We're getting spotted now. There's one destroyer per side, so we're keeping that in mind. Here's the trio of Giulios, and we got the lone Giulio on our side here, of course. Now, why this ship is great, it's a very maneuverable, and this is a great ship, by the way. It is one of the better battleships in the game. It's one of the more capable battleships in terms of carrying as a random player. I think battleships tend to be the hardest to carry your team as a solo, just because what you're doing is a little bit more randomized, and half the people in the game only shoot battleships, and that means they're probably going to be shooting at you. But getting back to why this is so good, it's got good maneuverability. Traditionally, I had the Pablo build, which is the 5 heal build. Speed, survivability. The guns in that build can be a little bit wonky. They still hit nice and hard, and in general, you're still going to get a lot of nice shots, but once in a while, you pull the trigger and you're like, what? But this Littorio, having played this ship a few times, it really tightens up the consistency with the guns. So, once again, I think the accuracy build does work quite well, at least for this particular ship in the line, and hopefully it will be widely available for free. But anyway, here's one of the lone Giulios. Now, this is kind of an interesting play here because we have 3 of these in a division. One of them crosses through the middle of the lake, the other one going north towards our base. You can see we nearly have a broadside shot on the one kind of on the eastern side of this central lake area. And then there's another one grouped up behind the island. So even though they're playing in a division, it's kind of like when I play in a division in the stream, we're not playing together usually. Maybe they're coordinating, maybe not. Maybe they're just friends playing around and kind of doing their own thing while being on the mics. But we're not seeing a lot of coordinated action. And this is kind of a consequence of these ships moving this far forward. And yeah, this is a lower tier game, so a lot of times these guys are going to do that anyways. You want to move forward in World of Warships, especially when we're opening the match. You don't want to move too far forward. That's the delicate balance, okay? And that's where the experience comes in. But you're going to see, the battleship that's already dead on our side. He moved forward. He got 4 or 5 guys shooting them all at once. Same thing with the Giulio on the enemy side. Now this Pensacola here, he slams on the brakes. We did kept the front little portion of the Citadel with 1 shell, and that was lucky. If he just kept moving forward just a smidge more, I think we actually would have had a decent shot at dev striking him. Monahan moving forward now. Pensacola, I think you can see the guy way off in the east. You see the guy blocked by the 2 far islands over there. Normally, I wouldn't move over there. I think he actually got some shots on this Monahan, so that position paid off. That's a position you want to play on domination mode when there's a cap there. But when we're talking about capture the base mode, where once again it takes 2, 3, 4 minutes to deploy over there, and very often there's going to be no targets to shoot, that's a wasted position. He's actually going to manage to stay over there for the majority of the match, which is a little confounding. But anyway, underlined advice, don't go to that eastern part of the map divided by those 2 giant islands unless there's a base there. Capture the base mode. Nevertheless, you got some shots off. Monahan dead, lone destroyer on the red team dead, and now we're just going to get in the middle of this map here, okay? We don't want to... We got one battleship that would have a crossfire to the south, just a little bit to the east. Right there, he just popped back up on the screen. I think that's... I believe it's another Giulio, but whatever it is. We don't want him to catch us in the broadside, so we're not going to go directly in the middle of the map quite yet. But once he's dealt with, then we're going to go ahead and just exert control and wrap this thing up. So, 3 ships dead on both sides at this point in time, and there's the there's the remaining ship. I'm just having fun with the comms here at this point in time, or having even more fun watching the comms in the replay. The comms are kind of my only way to retaliate against some of the gameplay we're seeing out there these days. Anyways, patiently kind of waiting, hoping one of these guys spots the battleship. Then we can see. Now, at this point in time, I thought he was more committed to going north, and I was like, okay, we're going to get in the middle here, we're going to attack. And then as soon as he appeared as we began our turn, I was like, that's the end of this game. Luckily, he had HE loaded, and I don't know why you would possibly have HE in this situation. The destroyer is clearly seen in the southwest side of the map, so poor shell selection there keeps us alive. Pensacles on life support, you can see after our shot earlier. And the Giulio. Well, he's still got a lot of health here, but we got the guns pointed off the left-hand side of the screen. That means we're going to turn to the left, get those guns on target here, because he's got some cruisers he's rushing here. And if they don't hit him with torps, and we don't, there's a Dallas, he's definitely not going to hit him with torps because he doesn't have any. Then the Giulio can just rush him and just bully him. So we're going to at least fire one shot here, see if you can help whittle him down and keep one, if not both, these cruisers alive. Boom, there's a shot right there. 7 hits, one of them is Citadel, high caliber damage. And this thing does put up big damage numbers. I have no idea what the record is, but for a tier 4 battleship, I'm guessing it's probably about 200,000. And that's just because this thing's a nasty little son of a gun. The only time it's not a great ship is if you're in a tier 5 match with like a lot of battleships, because those guys, the bigger the caliber guns, they can start to slap the Giulio around a little bit, and we're going to see more and more of those when we're down tiered, tier 4 playing tier 5s. But in a tier 4/tier 3 game, you're really probably going to be the alpha threat on the board at any given time. So very solid ship, a lot of fun to play. I don't usually give solid buy recommendations just because these ships are so dang expensive. I think this one seems modestly priced at like 6,500 doubloons right now, but if you actually look at how many dollar bills that is, that's like 30 bucks. So in my book, that's still pretty expensive, but in comparison to the other ships in the game, relatively cheap, and then a lot of fun to play, and a pretty good ship all around. So if you're inclined to spend some money on the game, and you're looking for a nice, fun, kind of mid-tier battleship, Giulio definitely takes the cake. Jumping back into this game here now, we do have a contingent down here in the southwest that's applying pressure. Once again, we have a Pensacola to the east, and then in more relevant parts of the map, we are here in the center, of course. So because those guys are in the southwest, we're going to basically trying to create as an extreme crossfire as we could. We could move kind of directly at that battleship. What I want to do is pressure the cap in the meantime and create the crossfire. So we have 2 unsighted cruisers, and then the battleship who's angled, and he's also sailing away from me. So charging into that battleship, not really that relevant. If the destroyer/battleship over there can't handle him, then due to the fact that we have basically nearly full health, I'm not afraid of cleaning him up later. But I do want to get these cruisers off the board, pressure the base, get on the base, increase our team's background score lead, just in case things go awry, because you never know. Doesn't matter what tier you're at. I think generally your lower tier players are going to be a little bit more reliable in the end game than the legendary tiers, or the higher tiers at least. But we're still trying to wrap this thing up. So here's the first victim or target on the enemy team here. What do we got? Let's go ahead and check him out. Furutaka, there's the guy. Now, initially I'm thinking maybe double strike, but here's the Monte Caccioli, and I wasn't sure where he was. But he's point blank range. I'm thinking, okay, we can dev strike this guy. A little bit of a glitch when we're aiming in here. Close range, sometimes the aim gets wonky. And then we hit him and we don't sink him, and now I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck in the turn here, and we're broadside of this guy. We're going to get torped, inevitably. You know, I can't turn back in towards him. I overturned, basically. Once he popped up on the screen, I was a little bit shocked, and I'm like, where's the torps? Where's the torps? Oh, yeah, it's Italian torps. They're coming. They're going to take their time, but they will get here. I mean, we get 2 salvos off before the torps even get to us. Can't seem to Citadel this guy point blank range. Citadel must be slightly below the waterline. Shells coming in horizontally, but the secondaries slash the main guns combined take them out, and there's the close quarters. Then we bounce off the island here. I was, again, hoping to actually go all the way around this island because Furotok is the other cruiser behind them, and they do have longer range, more effective torpedoes than the Montecacholo. Okay, but now we see the Furotok. He's 10 kilometers plus at this point in time, so I don't think his torps could reach us from this distance. I was hoping he got him there, but all the shots dropped short, unfortunately. There's a follow-up salvo, and we whack him pretty hard there. Get the Confederate up to 130,000 plus, and decent, because we only have 45,000 HP. So we basically tripled our ship's HP and damage, which is a very strong performance in a battleship. Usually doubling your HP in damage output is pretty good for battleships since you have so much baseline HP. But basically we've fully killed the equivalent of 3 of our ships. So judging the game purely from a team HP standpoint, I think that's a pretty decent result. Luckily, the destroyer and the battleship do remove that last rogue Giulio. That, of course, prevents us from getting the Kraken, but we take the dubs when we can get them. Because times are tough these days, and your team will try and stop you from getting as many dubs as they possibly can. So we want to get them whenever we can, Kraken or not. Furotok are coming around here, though, and we would like to secure the kill. So despite not being able to see him, we basically rely on the suggested aim, move forward a little bit in the sighting, and then go ahead and sink him for the 4th kill. That's a look at the Giulio for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, hey, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.